Hello, listeners and subscribers.
Oh,
Welcome to the new and updated Frequently Asked Questions, where we've taken it on the road
I didn't even see it.
here in beautiful Boulder. We didn't even see Graham standing in the middle of the road and filming us. And we forgot to figure out where we were supposed to be aligned.
We're good here.
But he's
We'll
giving
hop
us the
into it.
thumbs up. Welcome to Boulder. You can't see it because we planned it wrong, and there's trees behind us instead of mountains.
If the trees weren't there, you would see the Rocky Mountains.
The primary issue is a man with a computer sat in the place where we were going to sit outside, so we had to move. So we walked, and now we're both sweaty.
I'm real sweaty.
Without further ado, let's start with our first question.
How has your customers' buying decisions changed over the years?
Okay. Okay.
I think that...
There's something that comes to mind right off the bat.
Okay, go ahead.
Not that we were selling skinny stuff, but I feel like it's
Sure.
fulled out, if you will.
The proportions have changed throughout the years to where a straight to a much further, a much larger proportion is really like the predominant. I mean, even when you're looking at like anything that any analytics or anything like that, you can kind of see that that's where the trend has been. And I mean, it kind of makes sense. I think that like, especially through like COVID and things where like things got a little bit more comfortable or a little bit more at home, I think that like you just saw proportions start to widen. I also think that because fashion's pretty cyclical, like you see like a trend go to the furthest end and then go back the other way. You know, I mean, that's kind of a retaliation from the trend like taking off.
Yeah.
So I think that you see it go one way where realistically like your true north is still like straight leg. You see it go this way or this way a lot throughout the years. So I think that's definitely a thing. I think also like more neutral color palettes.
Interesting.
I mean, I know that that's especially in menswear like always a thing, but I think that like I've seen it like go from one way where there was a lot of extreme patterns and like even just through even of more conservative stuff like plaids and everything down to like now I just see a lot more solids, a lot more natural fibers, a lot
less logos, probably.
Less logos,
less branding in general. I love to call out something that I think is doing it spectacularly. The Lemaire stuff's great.
Sure. Yeah.
That we just got in. Browns, tans, greens.
Less of a focus on material and more of a focus on like and fabric and things like that.
Yeah. To call out specifics like the 107 versus 105 from Orslo, the slim fit fatigue versus regular fit fatigue from Orslo. Yeah. Also, the store was in a much different place when we first started in terms of our offerings. We had much more boots. Think six eyelet boots, or with speed poles. Sure, you can picture the brands. Yeah, a lot more quote unquote heritage. We had a lot of like Filson and brands that did denim and flannel. If that communicates the idea. So I think it's part of our offering, but also in general. Is that dog? So.
Boulder is quite the place. I mean, I think that also like what you're getting at is we've seen same thing go from like workwear and boots and more heavy duty to all the way to super lightweight like technical sneakers,
totally.
All the way probably back to a more conservative basic leather shoe. Again, you just kind of see through fashion. I mean, it doesn't even take that much time, and we've been open 6 years, going on 7, and you've seen probably a full spectrum almost throughout those years. Yeah. And some things stick around, and some things don't. But especially menswear, as it's gone through a pretty big change.
Yeah, like a renaissance.
Yeah, I think that you're seeing like a lot of like experimentation. So I think we're going through like trend cycles pretty quickly. In that world.
Yeah. Well, on the internet, as we say here, podcasts, etc., it has allowed everybody to be a participator. Yeah. Even if you didn't care all that much, I feel nearly everybody has some sort of opinion in how they're dressing and what they're wearing. So I think that has a play too. Just more players in general. So it's a little more free. Yeah. Probably. We talked about it with Drew on the podcast.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
How everybody, the world's big, but like back in the 2012, 2013, 14 denim boot, like there were like 50 dudes total. It felt you know what I mean? Yeah. Obviously there wasn't the case, but like he's like, oh shit, you guys have had 5 people that I know personally on the podcast. Yeah. How did that happen? That's just kind of how it shook out.
It's a weirdly small world, even though it feels huge.
Yeah, because it is huge. It is huge, but incredibly small too. Yeah. So, I think that covers mostly
those are the bigger, broader ones. Obviously, there's micro trends and stuff like that, but I think that's been like the couple of big ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's next?
How has your personal style changed since working in fashion?
It's.
I mean, I think
it's allowed me to have more of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
Well, I mean, I think that kind of like direct access to the thing all the time can like, I don't want to say it like kind of like dulls your senses a little bit, but you're seeing it all the time. You're seeing everything. I don't
Yeah.
feel the need to like bounce on trends as quickly. I don't feel the
no.
need to, because there's a little less hive mind that I'm dealing with just because I've like already seen it before it's come, and then you kind of like buy it, forget about it, and then you see it in person. You're like, oh, I kind of forgot. Yeah.
100%.
So it's really more like it went from having like a ton to having
That was Dan Garfinkel, Finkel and Garf. He's a supplier of beer at the store. He has a beautiful dog named Joey. He likes pickleball. We like Dan.
yeah.
So
Check
anyway,
out
Dan just
Finkel and
stopped
Garf beer.
by. Yeah, shout out Dan.
Where the hell is he coming from?
Yeah, I was just thinking he doesn't live out this way.
So anyway, I think that like because of that, like my the closet has obviously changed because I've been able to like try out a lot of different things.
Yeah.
So I'm able to maybe audition things a little quicker
Yeah, that's
and
fair.
more effectively.
Yeah.
And switch things out, but also like more quickly learn like what actually is my style, what actually like works for me
Yep.
personally. So I think there's like it does allow a lot more experimentation, and then also like. Kind of allows you to see things and live around things a little bit more than you would otherwise. It's not really like just obsessing about them online. It's also like kind of like you see them on the daily. You know what I mean? And you can try
Every
things
day.
on. You can try a lot of things on. So for us, that's like having that much access helps a lot. But I also think that like at the same time, I don't always like love talking about fashion in my free time, just because we do it nonstop every single day.
Yes.
So sometimes when I get home and people, if I go to like a party or something, people are like, oh, tell me what's fashion. I'm like, oh boy. Well, we'll do it, but so in the same way that but I do want to talk about like guitar stuff in my free time, which I'm sure that somebody that works at a guitar shop does not.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. You mean the guy that works at Guitar Center with a 3.5 foot long ponytail doesn't want to talk about guitars?
3.5 foot long. You might want to. What about anything?
It's given me much more access. To your point, there's definitely a point where I feel like if you work a tech job and you're 9 to 5 and you're writing code, whatever it is you're doing, your kind of like escape is like, all right, cool, I'm done. I'm gonna go buy some clothes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wear my fit out to get dinner because I wasn't able to wear it into the office. And you know what I mean? You're able to like, it just feels more maybe normal, I guess.
Yeah.
And I definitely feel like I can experience fatigue in certain realms of being like, oh fuck, man, I've seen a lot of pants. Like I've seen a lot of pants.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But then the next day I'll be like, you know what? That's the best pair of pants I've ever seen. I have to have them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it definitely affords us that sort of freedom, and it's really fun. You get to see, like you said, you get to see what's coming in. You get really hype on it. Like for this fall coming up, there's some brands I remember, like Beams, one of them. I remember being like, man, that's a fun buy. I can't wait to see all that in. It felt slightly different than some offerings we've had in the past, but so I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
Hold on. And yeah, that's it. Another thing I want to say though is one thing you learn like in terms of industry is like real industry people, like you meet somebody who's been around for a minute, rarely are they like in the craziest, most dripped out outfit.
Yeah.
It's kind of like if you know, if you know, you know, if you know, if you know, you know.
You got there.
And it's usually like more, it's just, maybe they've had that jacket for a minute and it shows.
Sure.
They're not flexing in the newest thing that came out last week on the newest trend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Frankly, it'd be surprising to see like an industry head wearing Dunks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It just wouldn't.
It's just
don't think you
I
do.
think that like again, when you have that much access, when you're able to experiment a lot, you're able to kind of distill it. You kind of like reduce it down to like really what you care about,
Yeah,
and
totally.
and I think the more and more you care about stuff, you kind of like level up into this place where it's not really so much about the brand or the type. It's more about like how it looks all together. I think that's sort of like kind of self-actualizing with style is when you get this like I'm thinking about it as a total package as opposed to just like I got these new shoes and I put them with everything else I always wear. You know what I mean? And it's more about like how does that shoe play with the proportion or the break or whatever it is. And I like and also like the construction. Whenever you get nerdy, I feel like it gets more and more subtle and more about like tiny details that not everyone's going to notice.
Like when I think what you're talking about is like crazy details. You kind of got to touch it to feel it. Now, this brand does that in photos, like Coddle.
Sure.
Like coddle, you see it and you're like, that's tight. But when you see it, you're like, okay.
Yeah.
You feel it, it's like heavy. You can feel the texture of the fabric and like that you can't communicate and like that would, in my opinion, be like on the nerdy end, not in a bad way, but like you kind of got to appreciate all of the things that are coming together to form this jacket. In ways that maybe some other stuff doesn't necessarily have that deep level to it.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
All right.
What is your favorite outdoor activity?
Right now, I would say my favorite outdoor activity is probably golf. Probably golf. Obviously,
not gardening. All this.
Obviously, gardening.
Yeah.
Obviously, gardening. Yeah.
What do you rate this garden at?
You know what? This thing right here, it says adopted by the neighborhood or whatever. It's like
they didn't do much.
Do a better job than that.
Yeah. I'm kind of a known not outdoorsy person.
Yeah.
But I like hiking because I can make phone calls while I do it.
Yeah.
And I've been doing harder ones though lately, so I can't do that. I can't talk. Have you ever done like Bear Peak? That's like the longest one here. It's known for having rattlesnakes. Longest?
It's like the longest in Boulder, I'm pretty sure.
No, I've done. It's a bunch of referential stuff no one's going to care about, but
yeah.
I've done. I do the long version of everything I do though.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've done like 4 to 6 hour like real ordeals.
Oh.
Yeah, on Sundays.
And you'll just you have music playing, podcast?
I listen to podcasts for 6 hours straight.
Yeah. No, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. So like that. That's it.
Yeah. No, I feel you.
I like walks, which is the same thing.
Yeah.
So I either am flat or incline.
Yeah, one or the other.
Yeah.
Speaking of gardening, bro, I planted some grapes on my property.
Everything in that sentence is wrong. I don't like it.
Some Concord grapes. You like a Concord grape?
I don't know. Is that the one with the seeds in it?
Typically, yeah.
Yeah, I do like them.
Yeah, I think they're a really good flavor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So
that's
walking and gardening and putting grapes in a rental property.
Look at the fruits of my labor next year.
As long as he doesn't move. All right, over and out from beautiful Boulder, Colorado. Before we have more people walk in the frame. See you later. Ask us more questions. Like and subscribe. If you got more questions,
drop
put
them in the
thing.
comments, and that'll fuel the next episode.
Yeah, or you can discuss and tell us what your favorite outdoor activity is.
Yep.
Bye.
See ya.